GWM, go with more. GWM, go with more. GWM, go with more.
Hello and welcome to everyone joining us for the first time back in 2025 for Live Inside GWM. This is of course your opportunity to get the inside scoop on everything GWM related and a chance to ask our GWM experts your burning questions. This is for everyone. This is for dealers, this is for customers, people that know a lot about the brand and people brand new to the world of GWM. We know you're all going to get something out of this event. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, and I would also like to pay my respects to elders past and present. For this event, we are taking a look, and I'm sure you can see it now, at the fantastic new GWM Cannon. And then we're going to have our Q&A session towards the end, where we'll try to answer as many of your questions as possible. So start submitting them throughout this live event, start chucking them in a comment below, and we'll get to them a little later on. Now, during these events, because there's so many of you tuning in from everywhere, because we have such a fantastic GWM community, we get inundated with questions, and it is literally impossible for us to answer all of them now. So if you submit a question and we don't get to it live, don't worry. One of our GWM experts will be answering those questions directly online over the coming days and week. So don't fear. If you've got a question, submit it now. To take us around the new GWM Cannon today is, of course, none other than the Head of Marketing and Communications for GWM Australia and New Zealand, Steve McKeever. Steve, come on in. I should probably just start introducing you as my co-host. Welcome
Indeed,
back,
good
mate.
to see you, mate. You well?
Yes,
Good.
and of course, alongside Steve tonight, returning for the second time, we have Senior Product Specialist Tim Leon. Tim, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so let's kick off. Steve, the new Cannon, how important is this to the Australian market?
Look, it's an extremely important car, look, for GWM, and we think for the Australian market as well. As most of you will know, utilities, light commercial, 4x4, dual cabs are one of the biggest selling segments in Australia. Hugely popular segment, used for a lot of different purposes for buyers across the country. Now, Cannon's been a big success for us over the previous few years. It's one of the 3 volume pillars of GWM's volume growth over the past few years, along with H6 and with Jolyon. This car is the new generation Cannon. We expect big things from it, and we're going to be able to take you through some of those key improvements as to exactly why we think it's going to resonate with Australian buyers today and into the future.
We know Australians like their workhorses. We like to work and play, and these cars look fantastic. So why don't we start with the exterior design, Steve? Can you talk us through what's changed and why?
So probably starting from the front here, you can see that the front end has been completely redesigned, reshaped, and into a much more contemporary, perhaps more subtle front end than what we had on the previous model. For those of you familiar with the Cannon, there was quite a bit of chrome on the front end there as well. So the trapezoidal grille there has really been sort of toned down a little bit. That's the feedback we've been getting from buyers. That's the feedback we've been getting from our dealers. So essentially, that's one of the things you're going to see initially up front, a more sportier and more dynamic look on the front end there as well.
I think that still looks really tough though.
I think it does, and toughness is what we're trying to get across. You want an element of looking premium, but tough at the same time, and I think this grille has absolutely nailed that. If we then move round to the side of the car here as well, the other big change you're going to see from an exterior perspective is the wheel design. So a completely new wheel design, pretty much the same size as what you would have seen on the outgoing model, but a refreshed design again, which makes it just look that little bit more dynamic and gives it a fresh feel. So that's essentially what we see changed on the front end of the new Cannon. But if we move over to this model here, which is the Cannon XSR, again, we had the XSR in the existing range. A couple of key changes on here as well. Sports bar design has changed and been updated, so brand new sports bar on there. One of the other key things that you're going to notice on the new GWM Cannon is this really strong and neat GWM embossing on the rear tailgate. Now, this speaks to that GWM master brand strategy. For those of you who've tuned into previous live streams, we've talked a lot about the importance of really trying to get customers to understand what GWM is and what we stand for. GWM, of course, is the Cannon, it's Haval SUV, it's Aura EV, and it's Tank Off-Road. So by doing this, we get customers understanding more that this is a GWM.
That's pretty clear.
It is pretty clear, absolutely.
I love it.
At the back here as well, you've got this nice little neat standing point on here, which allows you to gain access into the rear as well. So that's something that's been added for this new XSR model. But also something that's not new, but I felt was important just to remind customers, because I think it's a really neat feature, is this really neat pop-out step on the rear, which allows you to easily step up and get into the back of the Cannon. And of course, carry over is the spray-in tub liner there as well. So some neat features, and again, carried across in the XSR for 2025. Moving round to the side, you'll see on here, we've got a refreshed tyre package on that as well, designed to improve off-road performance and on-road handling. The wheel design and wheel size is the same as the outgoing, so some pretty significant changes all around, both front and rear across the new 2025 Canon.
I just think the XSR looks great with those, the black wheels, you've got the black flared arches, and now the, you know, that lovely black sports bar too. I think that looks fantastic.
Definitely got an element of toughness to it, look.
So Tim, I know everyone's going to be saying, well, what about the specs and the lineup? What can you tell us about the different grades that are going to be on offer here in Australia and New Zealand?
Yeah, so we are launching in Australia with 4 grades, starting off with the Lux. In the Lux grade, you have a lot of the standard features, reversing sensors, reversing camera, your 12.3-inch screen, which you'll see very shortly, the alloy wheels, as Steve has mentioned, that's standard across the range. So a lot of the good looks and everything, it's already there from Lux. Then you move on to the Ultra grade. The Ultra grade has a few little convenient and also a little bit of styling added to it. So
some subtle tweaks?
subtle tweaks.
Luxury, should we say, as well, yeah.
Yeah, so little things like front parking sensors, 360 camera, as well as rear privacy glass is some of the things that you can notice from the outside. But on the interior, there's a lot more. So heated seats, ventilated seats, leather seats rather than faux leather. So yeah, just a few little things like that. Then we move on to the Vanta, which a lot of the Australian buyers really like in the current model. And you can expect a lot of blacked out trims on the grille, on the bumper, roof rails, mirror caps, etc. And finally, as you've seen on the left here, is the XSR. So this is our off-road variant, and yeah, as you can see, it's ready to play.
I love it, I love it. So that's Australia. What about our friends in New Zealand?
So New Zealand, we will be launching with the Lux variant. So from the outside, you basically have exactly the same as what you see here in the Ultra.
So just the one?
Just the one for the time being, yes.
Is there a reason for that, Steve?
Look, for the time being, look, obviously the ute market is smaller in New Zealand, so the opportunity, and we just want to keep it simple for our customers and dealers down there, and ultimately we think that's going to be the sweet spot for the New Zealand market. However, if the market does pick up and opportunity in that ute segment does grow, never say never, we'll certainly have a look at bringing in some of those other options, perhaps in the future.
Now, one of the most important things is what's under the hood, and how has that changed from the previous model?
So with the new GWM Canon, we've chucked in a bigger engine. So with this, it now has a 2.4 litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel versus the 2 litre previously, which means we have 135 kilowatt of power and 480 Newton meters of torque.
Is that the same engine that's in the Alpha?
That's the same engine as the Alpha. So compared to the current 2 litre, you're looking at about 12% more kilowatt, and as well as 20% more torque. So with the bigger engine in the smaller vehicle, you can expect that to perform a lot better for work, as well as for towing, etc.
That's fantastic. Tim, I love how you can memorize all those numbers. I would have forgotten that straight away. So that's the powertrain.
Yes.
Then transmission?
Yes, moving back, we've also chucked in an extra gear. So we're now instead of 8-speed, we have 9-speed automatic. This gearbox is GWM's internal gearbox, but as a lot of consumers and also myself have driven, it's really very smooth and very nice.
And then, so engine, powertrain, what does that equal in terms of towing capacity? Because I know a lot of people will tow their boats, trailers, caravans. What can you tell them tonight?
So once again, we've also upgraded the towing capacity with the new Canon to 3.5 tons. And we're really happy with that. We've also done some towing testing previously. And yeah, the car performs great.
I actually think we've got some footage too, Steve, before you jump in. I think we've got some footage to show that you might be able to see right now. I hope so. Our producer's doing a great job back there. But as you can see, this vehicle is extremely capable of towing.
I was just going to add to something Tim was saying there. And again, we've talked previously about GWM's philosophy, which is improving little by little every day. The performance and powertrain upgrades and the towing upgrades that Tim has just referenced there is testament just to that. Now, ultimately, we've listened to feedback not just on the design, but one of the most common pieces of feedback we had on the outgoing Canon model was that the 2-litre engine was probably underpowered for some people's uses, not for everyone, but for some. And then equally, when we launched, towing capacity was 3 ton. But now with a benchmark 3.5 towing capacity as well, we think it's right in the sweet spot of what Australian consumers will need, and that's because we've listened to that feedback. So again, back to the fact that this brand is improving products day by day thanks to customer feedback, and we're very proud to bring this to market.
That's all of you, by the way. Thank you so much. And lastly, Tim, before I let you go for a sec, this is a proper 4x4 workhorse. Can you tell us about the 4x4 capabilities that they're going to come with?
Certainly. So starting from the Lux all the way to the Vanta, they come with a BorgWarner 4x4, a BorgWarner transfer case, which means you get a proper low range. And not only that, for four-wheel drive models, rear diff lock comes as standard. And when you move up to the XSR, it gains the front diff lock as well. So you can have a true 4x4 when you take this off the beaten track.
So you go, all the hardcore 4x4s are going to be saying XSR for me.
And the thing to remember just with that hardcore 4x4 as well is that the platform that this Cannon and also the outgoing Cannon, but certainly this new 2025 GWM Cannon is built on, is the exact same platform that our Tank 300 and Tank 500 are built on. And again, those products and the Tank model series have been designed as professional off-road products, right at the peak of off-road prowess. That's exactly what you get under the skin on these vehicles as well.
Yeah. So I think we've covered work and play. Now I know you're all dying to see the inside, so Tim, I'll give you a little breather, and Steve, why don't you jump in the driver's seat and I'll jump in the passenger seat.
Let's do it.
All right, before we start, I'm going to put this window down so that this camera can see what we're talking about. Mate, what an interior. This is a big step up.
It is a big step up, and I think one of the first things you notice is it's become a lot more rugged, perhaps even a lot more masculine, some might say. It's just a lot more robust in terms of its overall design and the way that it presents. And again, that's with the feeling of, again, this is primarily a work vehicle, but can also be used as a nice place to be day to day and at the weekends with your family as well.
Well, the first thing I noticed is how comfortable this seat is when I jumped in straight away. That was my first thought.
And again, you're sitting here on, nicely sort of leather shod, leather appointed seats, which always helps with that nice feeling of ambience. But again, good driving position. And again, with most of our GWM products, what's really dominating the cabin here in the middle is these two giant sort of multifunction screens. You've got your 7-inch cluster right there in front of the driver. Again, that's now standard. And we've moved to a 12.3-inch, much bigger central multimedia infotainment screen in the middle to control, radio, Apple CarPlay, Android Maps, etc., which is up from 7 on the previous model. So again, a significant increase in size. So again, from a functionality perspective, everything is exactly where you need it.
And everyone wanted to hear that. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. I see you've got, is this wireless charging?
Yep,
pad
correct. There's
charging
wireless
ports?
charging available in some of the models as well. You've got charging ports within there as well. But probably one of the other key changes is right through the middle here. So again, we've been listening to feedback. We've been beginning to start bringing in more hard function buttons on the dash there, making it easy for consumers and drivers to find exactly the function they're looking for, rather than having to go in and dig into menu after menu in that sort of in that software system. So again, in terms of functionality, it really stacks up. Again, even through the vents here, you can see that the vent design has changed, the position has changed to allow us to move that screen further up. By doing that, what that does is it allows the driver to keep their eyes on the line of sight of where they're going, rather than having to look down at information. We've moved everything up. So from a safety perspective, that's a win.
We just get your muscle memory, right? You know where the buttons are that you want, and you can just hit and concentrate.
100%.
But again, it's the little things that I think GWM are doing so well. It's, all the soft touch materials. I hope the camera can pick it up. But this amazing little lighting design here, that's fantastic.
It does, again. There's no doubt this is designed to be a rugged workhorse vehicle. That's what it's designed for. But just all these nice touches through there just give it a really premium feel. And the other bit is this whole transmission tunnel through here as well. And for those of you eagle-eyed who sort of know GWM product, you'll recognize this as having come from the Tank. It's the aviation style gear shift lever. Again, you've got all your controls for locking diffs, for hill descent control, everything through there as well. So it makes it, again, a really easy system to use and to get used to. And again, probably one of the most important parts in the car, of course, is the steering wheel here. And again, that's a new design on the steering wheel, which again, just I think adds to the overall feeling of premiumness and ruggedness within the cabin.
And let's not forget, We also have a sunroof.
We do, correct, correct.
Now, let's get into features and technology. So, off the top of your head, can you remember how many driving modes this one
I
has?
think we're on 9 driving modes, I believe, on this. I'm sure Tim will correct us in Q&A if I've got that one wrong. I think we're at 9. So again, you know, sand, mud, rock, snow, ice, wherever it might be, multiple driving modes in there. And again, reminding everyone this is built on the Tank Professional Off-Road platform. That's where those things really come into play.
And safety, obviously, most importantly, you want everyone in the car to be safe at all times. What level of safety equipment is it loaded with?
So again, loaded with pretty much every piece of advanced safety equipment you can imagine on here. So you've got obviously forward collision warning, AEB, you've got radar cruise control, you've got blind spot monitoring, you've got lane keep assist, you've got a whole load of electronic functions there, which have been designed to keep everyone in the car as safe as they possibly can be, but not forget the actual engineering and the way that the car is built as well, built with a combination of really high and ultra high tensile steel, which makes it a really safe cabin around the passengers as well. All of that is combined to ensure that we can carry over the existing 5-star ANCAP rating on the Canon to this new model here as well.
So has this been to ANCAP?
It's basically been approved with ANCAP is to carry over that same 5-star ANCAP rating, correct.
Excellent.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
lastly, GWM Care. What is the new Canon coming with?
So GWM Care carries through, as with all models. In this particular model, it's a 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty. It's 5 years roadside assist, and it's 5 years cap price servicing. So again, we're going to talk when we get out the car a little bit about value and pricing. But that GWM Care package that comes standard on every GWM really adds to that feeling of customers getting value for money. But it's not just about value, but it's just the overall ambience as a package. Again, obviously I work for the company, but I think anyone would agree what you're seeing in here, what we've talked about in terms of upgrades and features, there's a significant amount of value. We've chucked a lot of value into this new GWM Canon.
I can't stress that enough. I know people watching, of course, you work for GWM, you've got to say these things, but I encourage you, I implore you, if you yourself have never been in one or you've got friends looking for a car like this, tell them to go and sit in one. Just sit in one and test drive one and tell us that it isn't what we're saying it is. And then you can leave a comment below and give us your feedback.
I think that's a great point. We find that, and this is the feedback we get from our dealers, is that customers aren't always coming into multi-franchise showrooms looking for a GWM. Plenty are, but there's others coming in on different competitive models. And the customers see our products and say, well, what's that sitting in the corner there? Or what's that at the front of your showroom? And the dealer will say, oh, this is a new Canon or it's an H6. And customers go, oh, I'm quite interested in that. Can I have a look? And as you said, they get in the car and they're blown away by the amount of tech, the way that the car presents. They take it for a drive. They love the way that it drives. And then when they understand what the price is, it's a no-brainer for plenty of customers. And that's exactly how GWM's been able to grow, by bringing the right product with the right safety, the right technology at the right price to market.
And the product, not only does the brand continue to grow, but the product continues to improve. It's not what it was 5-10 years ago. This is the next evolution, and it really just continues to step up.
100%. And again, back to improving little by little every day. Every car brand, their most important asset is their product. And that's exactly what GWM lives. And again, we're seeing this coming through in this new 2025 GWM Canon.
All right, well, I think Tim's probably getting a little bit bored outside, so why don't we go grab him and get into the live Q&A.
Sounds good.
Okay, so that is the new GWM Canon.
Indeed it is.
Tim, come on back. Let's get to some questions. We're going to kick things off while Tim's coming back in. Steve, the arrival of the new Canon is imminent. We know that.
It is.
There's already people asking. I know Daryl's asked, Fabian's asked. Everyone wants to know, when's the release date? When are we going to see these in showrooms or on the road?
Great question. I mean, this tonight is really serving as a sort of very short lead pre-launch of the arrival of the new Canon. Here, designed tonight to introduce it to our buyers across Australia and New Zealand. We've got cars beginning to arrive in sort of smaller numbers right now across a couple of states, so we just want to make sure we've got supply around the country. We can get them out of port and into dealerships, so they should be within dealerships within the next couple of weeks or thereabouts. What would I advise anyone to do if you're interested? Jump online, gwmanz.com, as we've been doing this live stream, the website's being updated with everything you want to know about these vehicles as well. You can also find your nearest GWM dealer on there. So we'd urge you to pick up the phone, pop in and see your GWM dealer, and they'll be able to tell you about their allocation of these brand new GWM Cannons and when you might be able to get in one to test drive or even to take home.
Now I'm going to kick it off with a question, because I know this is going to be on the forefront of a lot of our viewers' minds and a lot of our GWM community, and I don't think this information has been released yet. Correct me if I'm wrong. Pricing. What can we expect?
So pricing is very, very keen. Again, we've talked a lot about GWM value. You've seen it in every car that we've released of late. So essentially, our Canon Lux comes in at a really, really sharp 40,490 drive away. So for everything we've talked about, new design, new upgraded 2.4 litre engine, 4x4 powertrain, 40,490 drive away. We then move up into the Ultra, which again takes that additional feature set that Tim talked about earlier, 43,490 drive away. Into the Vanta, with of course your blacked out appearance in there, 45,490 drive away. And then topping out here with the Canon XSR, with its off-road technology, 49,990. So very, very sharp pricing. And when you consider the pricing of Canon today, which actually has come down somewhat over the years as well, where we've got to with the pricing of this new car, with all that new technology, I think it's one of the best value cars we've ever launched.
That's sensational. And you heard it here first. That is an exclusive.
It is. That's the first time the pricing's been spoken of anywhere. We can also briefly talk to New Zealand as well, with the Canon Lux that they'll be getting in New Zealand. New Zealand buyers will also be able to pick that up for a very, very attractive 43,490 MSRP.
Wow. Okay. Where do we go from there? That's fantastic. That's extreme value for money.
It is. It's great value for money. And look, that's what this brand does. We bring amazing products to market with amazing technology. You can all see the design evolving, improving very, very quickly, but value has to be the absolute core of it. And we're making sure that buyers are really getting a feel for that value. And as I said, it's in the car, it's in the ownership experience, it's there every day of the week with these new cars.
Well, Tim, I know you've been working very hard on bringing these models to market as the senior product specialist.
Yes.
One of the first comments we've got is everything is great. And if it is half as good as our Tank 500 Ultra, it will be brilliant. So all your hard work is paying off. People are already loving it.
Yeah, that's great to hear, because just recently a lot of head office engineers have come over to do a lot of testing, 2 solid weeks of testing, and I've been with them every single day. So yeah, it's great to hear such good feedback.
So maybe if I can just jump in for the benefit of the viewers who maybe don't understand what a senior product specialist like Tim does. Tim is the guy responsible at GWM locally here in Australia and New Zealand. He works with colleagues doing a similar role at head office in China. And we work through the pricing that we've talked about tonight. We work through the spec, the grade lineup, that type of thing, to make sure that the vehicles that we bring to market are as competitive as they can be. But then Tim also, as he alluded to, does a lot of work in terms of local testing. So working with engineers, we've had a whole host of engineers over the last few months, tuning, testing, looking at road conditions, etc., etc. And Tim's been working with them to make sure that the takeaways that they get are really from an Australian buyer perspective. So Tim's played a really important role and done a really strong job in making sure that we've been able to bring these cars in at such a good price. It's a good job, mate.
Yeah, I think on behalf of all the GWM community, I think you're going to get a few thanks for that. Jack asks, how many models are in the Canon lineup? If you can just recap that.
So in Australia, we are launching with the Lux, Ultra, Vanta, as well as the XSR.
So 4 in total?
So that's 4 for the time being. And New Zealand, there's going to be Lux. And as Steve has mentioned, we are looking at potentially bringing more and expanding depending on the opportunity. But yeah, we'll update you guys more down the track.
I like that answer. You've been listening to Steve talk. There's a lot of potential there and some wiggle room. Okay, Pete asks, will we see a club similar to Tank for the Canon?
Well, let me jump in there. That's a very, very good question. I'm not going to go into too much detail right now because we do have things in the works which we aren't quite ready to confirm yet. But what I would say is there is going to be activities happening later this year, perhaps around mid-year or slightly later, whereby we're going to really sort of get involved with our whole GWM owner base and invite you to come and be involved in something with us. So what I would say is stay across our socials. We'll be announcing that in the coming months. We're not quite there yet, but we absolutely appreciate every owner we've got, and we want to try and find more ways to engage with each of you out there. So watch this space.
I'm already excited. Can I get an invite along to that?
I'm sure we can manage that way.
Then we can all hang out live together. Graham, are the colours the same as the current?
So there is actually a brand new exciting color called the Stealth Grey. It is only available in the XSR, but you should be able to see it on our website already. And apart from that, the existing color still carries through. And the red, we are just aligning the name to Canon Alpha as well, just renaming it to Lunar Red, but it's actually the same color.
Can you describe the Stealth Grey? Like, is it matte? Is it glossy? Is it darker? Is it lighter?
Yeah, so it's basically like a matte grey, and it looks really cool in the XSR.
Ah, awesome.
Particularly with those black highlights in this car, I think it's an amazing looking colour combination.
So there you go. Jump online, you can see it for yourself. Rob, any deals for trading up from the existing models to these ones?
Again, that's something you need to speak to your GWM dealer about. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to work with you and get you into one of these great new Canons. But yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, we really do value our existing owners. We'd love to keep as many of those existing GWM owners in the GWM family. So head down to your local dealer, preferably even the one you bought the previous car from. Have a conversation with them, and I'm sure they'd be more than happy to work with you to try and get you into one of these new Canons.
There you go. Head to the dealership. John asks, has the gearbox been tuned differently to Alpha Canon and Tank 500?
Yep. So the gearbox has actually been modified a little bit. Sorry, the tuning has been modified a little bit for the Canon. And with the recent there is a update coming as well for the turbo diesel gearbox in the Canon Alpha, which means, yeah, I've driven it myself and it drives fantastic.
There you go. All right. We saw a question asking about 5-star for XSR. Can you just talk about that and the ANCAP process and where it all sits?
Yep. So ultimately, the outgoing model range, every model in the range was 5-star, with the exception of the XSR, which is technically what we call unrated. And that's no different to a number of utes out there in the marketplace as well. But ultimately, what we're seeing is through the ANCAP process, when we bring a new car to market, ultimately when it's a brand new car, we need to go through a series of tests, pole tests, smashing the car into a wall, pedestrian tests, being able to pick up cyclists, that type of thing. There's a whole number of tests. It's a very, very robust process. Now, ultimately, the objective for GWM in all of those tests is to come out with 5-star, and that's what we've done with pretty much every car, including the previous Canon models. XSR is a little bit different in that it's got different technologies on there. So as such, still very safe in terms of how it's built. It's still got plenty of that technology on there, but it doesn't get the 5-star ANCAP rating. It is untested or unrated. But on the new range, everything with the exception of XSR absolutely takes that 5-star rating across as well.
So at least you've got that peace of mind.
Correct.
Of that 5-star across the rest of the range. Perfect. Angus, he's obviously a 4x4er. He says front and rear diff lock is nice. So again, you've got Tim to thank for that. Probably a few heated discussions back and forth from head office. Peter asks, does it come with selectable driving modes for different terrains? We hinted at that a little bit, I think, inside, but maybe Tim, you can talk a little bit more to that.
Yeah, so the XSR does have all-terrain control. So, and XSR is the only one that has it. With the normal Canon, it has what we call torque on demand system. So yeah, it's a slightly different system, and if all-terrain is what you want, then XSR is the one to go.
And is there anything, Steve, you might want to add, again, for people new to our live stream events or the GWM community, the 4x4 platform? But we touched on it a little bit earlier as well.
GWM is obviously SUVs and utilities is what we do as a company. Yeah, we've got the OR EV, and there'll be more of those cars coming through as well. But essentially, SUVs and utilities is where GWM has made its name. In China, the Canon is by far the largest It's got close to, I think, 40 or 50% market share or segment share in China with this car. Very, very well received. And ultimately, that technology started off in older generation pickups with the GWM or Great Wall name on it. And ultimately, over the years, that's been evolved and has now come through in that Tank Professional Off-Road series as well. Now, where I think that product in particular, and this product benefits as well, is that quality of that technology on that ladder on frame technology under the skin is second to none, and certainly second to none at the price we sell these products as well. So very, very capable on-road, very capable off, as Tim said, excellent world-class four-wheel drive systems, locking front, rear, center diffs dependent on the vehicle that you're buying, and then multiple electronic driving modes in there as well. So for anyone who's a 4x4 enthusiast, yes, we understand there might be brands that you've been sort of wedded to in the past. We'd urge you to go in, as we said, when we're in the car, get out, test drive one of these things and see what it can do.
Lockie has a great question. I didn't even look when I was in the car. He says, Aussie indicator on the right, question mark.
So it's one of the things that I've been working on with the Chinese team is to localize the vehicle, and one of them is the indicator on the right.
Great question, Lockie. Thank you. Kevin asks, will there be an increase in power and fuel economy? I think we answered the increase in power.
Yep.
So we got a 12% increase, is that correct?
Yes, 12% increase in power, as well as 20% increase in torque. And as a result, we do have a better fuel consumption and CO2 emissions as well. From memory, it is now 8.4 liters versus 9.4 previously.
So improvements in power and torque and more fuel efficient at the same time. So I think that's a good result.
What more do you want?
Indeed.
A few more questions. Kevin asks, oh no, sorry, that's the one I just asked. Daryl, is the CarPlay wireless and are the seats ventilated?
So in the Ultra variant and above, it is heated and ventilated front seats. And as for the CarPlay and Android Auto, I'm pretty sure it is wireless now. I'm pretty sure that's one of our latest upgrades.
There you go. So for all our Apple CarPlay and Android Auto fans out there, more good news. Okay, so I've got a little something because I've been picking up on it. I've noticed you've both at times used the word chuck. It's not a term we chuck around a lot here, so what's with that?
That's no coincidence, Luke. You might have heard both Tim and I using the phrase chuck or chuck more in. Now this is alluding to the new marketing campaign that's going to sit behind these vehicles here, which is around the concept of chuck more in. Now obviously for a ute, that makes perfect sense. You've got the train with increased towing capacity or whatever, you can chuck more in because the vehicle's got more performance, it's got more towing, it's got that kind of stuff. But obviously we've talked a lot about increased specs inside, increased performance from the engine, new design. We've chucked a whole lot into these cars for the price that we've revealed to you earlier. So look out, within the next week to 10 days, you're going to see this brand new campaign go live for the 2025 GWM Cannon across TV, across large format out of home, so keep an eye out when you're out on the freeway, and then across digital. It's going to be running at high rotation for probably the next 5 or 6 weeks, so we hope you see it, we hope you like it.
And speaking of chucking things in, as it is a workhorse, I'm not sure if we touched on the payload in the tub.
Yep.
Do you guys, can you rattle off those numbers off the top of your head too?
I'm pretty sure it is 995. So there is something with novated lease companies where it needs to be just below 1 ton, which is why we capped it at 995 kilograms of payload. So it is eligible for these customers who wish to novated lease their vehicle.
I've just seen James's question come through too. Where can I find information of load capacity, etc.?
Yep. So all these information will be on our website very soon. We are working through the brochure, and the website should have gone live already. The brochure will come live. We're expecting it to come live on Monday.
So I love it. It's actually happening right now. We're unveiling these cars and all the information to our GWM community right now.
And that's the point, and this shows you how fluid this is, because ultimately the cars haven't landed yet. The cars technically aren't in the country making their way into showrooms yet, but this is such an important car that we wanted to get it out and get it out in front of an Aussie and Kiwi audience as soon as we can, let you know the pricing, so if you're interested you can start going and having a chat to your dealer. the same time, the marketing team is still scrambling away in the background, trying to get things ready to make sure that we have everything in place. But as Tim said, yeah, there'll be more information coming on the website in the coming days.
That's it.
Final question. Rob asks, what's the warranty on these? So if you just want to go over the GWM Care package one last time.
These cars come with a GWM Care 755, which means it's a 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty, 5 years roadside assist, and 5 years cap price servicing.
There you go. So I think that's about all the time we have. We'll let you get back to your nights or days, wherever you're tuning in from. Steve, Tim, thanks as always for your time and knowledge. It is very impressive. Please keep chucking your questions into comments, and someone from GWM will get around to answering them, and all the ones that are already there that we didn't get to answer live, someone will get to them over the coming days and week. For more information on the new GWM Cannon, as Steve's mentioned, and all the other vehicles in the GWM family, make sure you visit gwmanz.com. Maybe try and book in a test drive for yourself. Thanks for choosing to be a part of this incredible GWM community. It would be pretty pointless if we were talking to
100%.
absolutely no one. So thank you for joining us and being a part of this family. As always, keep an eye on the website and social channels for all the latest news and details of our next live event in February. Drive safely, and we'll catch you GWM. Go with more. GWM. Go with more.
GWM. Go with more.